And, to get over 400 pounds and still gaining by 30 years old, it's not just that you're like drinking too many sodas, right? There has to be a mental component there to get you to be more than double the weight you should be, by the time you hit 30. And so I think I said this, but like exercise for me doesn't actually, I don't think, lose me that much weight. I don't burn that many calories. However, it provides a huge boost to my confidence, a huge boost to my mental health, a huge boost to my optimism, makes me feel positive and productive when I've done my exercise for the day before the sun even rises. And then where the weight loss comes in is the diet and the mental health and the mindset part of it. And like you said, I try to talk about it sometimes, and other people are, I'm not the only one, of course, but it's just such a critical component. And I think I know it's very hard for men to talk about, because I'm one of the ones who didn't talk about it up until, 5 or 6 months ago.
Well, there's just a lot of stigma against guys talking about mental health. Like, we have to have it all together.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes with certain communities kind of coming up, like, that doesn't exist. Like, anxiety doesn't exist. I'm immune to all that stuff. And it's just like, there's different levels of anxiety.
Of course.
Let's see you off type of deal.
Of course.
But in all seriousness, I mean, sometimes that little bit of anxiety can be good in small doses.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a motivator. Definitely was. Yes.
Now it's important to then be honest with yourself, so that way you can better take care of you. And that's the one thing I really emphasize with a lot of people when I coach them and do this professionally, is tell people, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to stop lying to yourself, saying everything's okay, everything's dandy, because everything's not dandy when you have basically a donut here, a pizza here, and somehow you got the third arm coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's very critical that, for me at least, early on in the process, was that look in the mirror. I'm not advocating that we men sit around and talk about our feelings all the time. I don't think that's, necessarily great for us either. However, just admitting that to get to me to be over 400 pounds while I'm, successful professionally, in a relationship, great relationship with my parents, right? There has to be something going on in my head. There has to be something mental health wise in my head that's causing me to have this issue related to eating and related to weight. And there's no shame in admitting that, if it's followed up then by tackling it, by working on it, by taking, even just baby steps towards those goals every single day. And, I still have bad physical health days, bad mental health days, right? But I'm in a much better position that I will continue to work on it. I'll continue to talk about it when I need to talk about it, right? We don't have to talk our feelings all the time, but we can't also just pretend they don't exist and we never have them.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be lying to yourself. So, I mean, really, the best way to really do it is to recognize what you're feeling and think to yourself, okay, what can I do about it?
Yeah.
What can I do? What do I have control over in a situation? Especially when it comes to, binge eating, bulimia, anorexia, a lot of things that people go through, especially with, with men, especially with bodybuilders. I mean, they go through a lot of those body images.
Exactly.
Because it's muscles and the genetics, and it's basically called body dysmorphia. Really,
absolutely.
That you don't want to give.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I find often in these, and basically everything, almost, not everything, but a lot of things in American society these days, we are captured by extremes, whether that's in politics, whether it's in the culture wars, whether it's in our diet, our exercise, right? We have, I don't know if we call it like bigorexia or whatever it is, when you get those massive bodybuilders, right? And then we have anorexia. And then at the same time, we have whatever it is, my 700, my 600 pound life, like all these extremes. And the same with the diet, right? Only eat meat, never eat meat, right? Same with exercising, right? Never do cardio, only do cardio, right? It's just, that was part of the issue that I had at prior times when I started this journey and failed before, was information overload. Was there's so much information, there's so much entertainment, there's so much infotainment, right? How do I cut through the noise to find the signal? And I just thought, at this point, I'm going to try something and I'm going to tweak it along the way, physically, mentally, with the diet, spiritually, with my faith, right? And we'll see how it goes. We'll give it a few months. We'll document the process. And I'm not looking, to get super skinny. I'm not looking to get super jacked, but like I need to be healthy so that I can get some of those opportunities, so that I can seize some of those opportunities that are out there in front of me.